welcome to Lebanon, Tennessee. Not too far is the Music City where many people move to make their name in country music and leave their mark. This track once sat idle for almost a decade, but has since been brought back to life just last year. And over the years, this 1.33-mile concrete oval has had names like Franchitti, Canaan, Dixon, Hornaday, Bodine, Edwards, Harvick, Bush, and now Larson, leaving their mark at the Nashville Superspeedway. Hi, and welcome all to race number 11 of season 2 of the Area Elite Entertainment Cup Series, powered by Kicker. We're live from Nashville Superspeedway for race number 11, the Music City 180. I'm our Sluffy, your lead announcer, and joining me, as always, is executive producer Harold Darner. How's it going, Harold?
Doing pretty good, man. We're moving from Texas to Tennessee, so T to T, but in Music City now.
Yeah, indeed, we are in the Music City, Nashville, and this is a little bit of a preview for what to expect on the Cup side of things for real-life racing, because the Next Gen has never ran at Nashville. Cup never ran at Nashville until just last year, where we mentioned Kyle Larson won the first NASCAR Cup race at this track, and we're kind of getting a little preview of what the Next Gen car is going to look like, possibly for Sunday, because if it can do that for Daytona, then it can do that for Nashville as well. So we have a little over 8 minutes left in the practice session, and go ahead and get right to it. The top of the chart, and basically the driver that's been hard to beat from day one, Jake Nichols in the number 91. He's gotten his 5th win just last week at COTA, his 5th win in 10 races here. So he's basically won literally half of the races here in the Elite Entertainment Cup Series.
Yep, Jake Nichols, one of the Coca-Cola Series drivers, has experience at iRacing's top oval level, has come down here and started his rookie season with Elite Entertainment Cup Series here with Area, and like you said, has been putting on a heck of a show this entire season. He's definitely the favorite to take home the Season 2 championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you got to look back right behind David Weissard. He was the winner of this race last year from Nashville, and currently second on the board. And he's not too far off from Jake Nichols, but man, he had a car that was capable of winning last week at COTA. It just came down to pit strategy, and looking to get a fresh run here at the Music City and hopefully lead that into the playoffs.
All right, but David's been doing awesome this season, just basically keeping himself out of trouble. This track, you don't have to have the fastest car. You just have to have the strategy and be able to use the tires to your best advantage when you're on freshies, because Nashville does, just like Dover, tears up those tires.
Yep, this is actually a track that was partnered with Dover Motorsports Group. That's why the second Cup race got moved to this track, and they are basically the same track. Dover and Nashville, both concrete racetracks. This one a little longer, though, at 1.33 miles. Got 130 laps slated for us here. And as we're riding through with the 33 of Weissard, taking a look at the different bankings here, not only on the turns, but the front stretch as well. He's running the apron, but front stretch banking is at 9 degrees. Then you're going to roll through the turns here. We're going to ride in car. He's going to take it down pit road, but the banking through the turns is 14 degrees all the way around, and then 6 degrees on the backstretch.
Yeah, Dom DeLeo, we're going to hang out with him for the lap as he comes out of there, give you an idea of how these bank turns go. Now, you're talking a little bit about being the same as Dover, and they kind of have the same similarities with concrete and being owned by the same people, but definitely more of a D shape than the bowl system that Dover has.
Yeah, this is more of a D-shaped oval, and from what I've been hearing around is that this is kind of a one-groove track for the Cup guys, from what I'm hearing, because there's no resin in this iRacing stand of the racetrack. So this is just pure concrete, and what you see is what you get. So nothing added to it. We ride aboard the 22 of DeLeo.
The thing about Nashville is also it's relatively new to iRacing. I believe it only coming in last season. Within the last year, I should say.
I was going to say, I didn't know if this was added to it or if this was already in from a previous scan, but that was almost a decade ago. Like I said, this track sat idle for a decade and had plenty of warehouses and facilities built around this racetrack. And then out of nowhere, late 2020, it was rumored to be back in the NASCAR schedule, and then it was rumored to be on the Cup schedule. It was like, whoa, this is new. And I admit I was excited for it because I really didn't get accustomed to remembering, like seasons of NASCAR until like 2013, 2014, around that. So I really didn't have too many memories of this track from the truck or the Xfinity days. But I'm glad to see that it's back and that it's no longer sitting idle, and that we get to hear the cars roar through the parts of Tennessee and close to downtown Nashville.
We also have our points that we can talk about. How about that?
Yes, indeed. We got points to look at. This is after last week's race at Coda, so this is the point standings heading into tonight's race at Nashville. Jake Nichols, David Weishart, Brad Slar, Ed Robertson, and Ryan Hartz are all locked in with a win. Cameron earned his highest in points without a win, sitting at plus 36 to the good. Then you got James Scioli, Dom DeLeo, Tyler Nichols, and Alan Balancino at the top 10, but it gets really close around that 10th spot. Only 7 points to the good for Balancino, Garrett Heath, and Nicholas Johnston, plus 6 and plus 4 to the good. And then Ryan Swan flirting with that cut line, minus 4 back. Wayne Culberson, minus 9 points back as well. And then from Jacob Bell on back, these guys are going to have a win either tonight or in the next week at Talladega in order to make the playoffs, because minus 47, there's no way you're going to be able to make that in 2 races unless things absolutely go your way, and it can't all go your way.
Oh, yes, it can. Go all my way. All right, so we also got, so we talked about, Ryan Swan and Culberson. I think those are the 2 guys that have the ability to drive themselves in by points, where the rest of those guys, 15 on back from Bell to Forrest Smith, they're going to need a win to put themselves up there.
And I'm looking through here, trying to find where Culberson and Swan are through the practice sheet. Looks like Swan, they're actually right next to each other, 14th and 15th. So almost identical to where they sit in the points. Just flip-flop. So Culberson 14th and Ryan Swan currently 15th in the practice session with less than 2 minutes to go.
And we also have a team picture to watch.
Yep, the team championship here, Solar Flare Racing. They've been in front since, the beginning of the season. So they're sitting up top with 742, and then close right behind between these, I'd say 5 teams, really. David Weishart Racing at 693. 673 is Fazekas. Infinite is at 650. 1 point behind them, Jacob Bell Racing at 649. Then Elite Entertainment at 631. And we got Transcendent at 461. And Elwood Design Esports at 436.
Yep, so we see Dave, if DWR and Fazekas can jump up there, that's over 50 points that they're going to have to make up to get up there with Solar Flare.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. But I mean, it is capable because there's no playoffs for
teams.
There's no playoffs for the team championship. Yes. And speaking of the teams, poll question has opened in the chat. Which team will win tonight's Elite Entertainment Cup Series race? You can bet with exclamation point bet and then any of these teams: Solar, Transcendent, Infinite, Fazekas, Elwood, JBR, DWR, Elite, or if you think an open car is going to win, simply put non-team, all one word, non-team, and you can bet anywhere from 5 points to 400 points. And it looks like Harold Darner has put in David Weishart Racing as the team that will come home victorious after the checker flag flies tonight.
Yep, looking at David Weishart, I think he's going to dethrone Mr. Nichols tonight.
Okay.
Not sure what you've already picked this week.
Gosh, you know what? I actually, at the top of my head, I can't figure out what team I put. So I'm going to have to go back and look at that.
You'll
But I
have to put it
remember
under review, huh? Like,
under review. I do have to look back. I don't remember it from the top of my head. Oh, I went with a safe pick. I went with Jake Nichols.
oh,
And
there you go.
Jacob Bell went with Weishart. So that fits your bet right there. If you didn't listen to the Area Happy Hour podcast from the last episode, we sat down with Ryan Swan and talked a good bit there about racing, dirt racing, and interests outside of the iRacing world. And we also made our picks. So I made my pick with a safe bet because I'm trailing Jake in the points for the picks. So I went with Jake Nichols, and then he went with David Weishart for the Cup side of things. And trucks and Xfinity, we'll get to that a little later on. Or you can head over to Spotify and listen to the Area Happy Hour podcast. Once again, it's episode 3. Sat down with Ryan Swan as Swan is looking to make the playoffs. And go ahead and take a look at our weather presented by Lottie'sTravelWorld.com. It's hot in Nashville. Not only, well, not as hot as it's going to be this Sunday, 81 degrees. It's going to be in the triple digits in the air, but track temp at 109, humidity 44%, and winds from the northeast at 4 miles an hour.
Well, it is set up as today's date in Sim, so that's what the Sim says it is current would have been today at 1:46 in the afternoon. So, not sure how close they look at the weather, but that's what we're using, the current weather, based on 1:46 in Nashville as of today. So, we'll have to ask iRacing where they get their weather from.
That would be interesting to note as Weishart goes once again to the top of the charts. And looking through the track record, I haven't seen these guys go anywhere near the track record time. It was set by David Weishart at a 29.074 the last time we went here in season 1. And it looks like the quickest time is a 30.0. So
but we got a caveat
the
that
29-second time yet. Yeah.
We got a caveat that was with the other car.
The other car, we got a next gen car, the newer car.
Yeah, because this is with the lower horsepower, right? What they had last
season. This is
season.
actually the higher horsepower.
Higher horsepower, less downforce.
Yes, so all the cars other than super speedways will be at 670 horsepower for the next gen.
So probably a little bit more of a handful to drive it, though. That the drivers like to have that loose off feeling and counter steering.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Here's
Brad Slaughter.
Yeah. So you went with Solar at 150, huh? So.
Yeah, I went with the safe pick in Jake Nichols.
And Jake Nichols going safe, okay.
If there's anyone that can run a 29-second lap time, it might be Jake Nichols. Or it might be Brad Slaughter here. No. He is 10th quickest, though. That number 88. He won the Area 500 earlier this year. Wasn't planning on running the full schedule for a Cup. And decided, why not after winning the biggest race of the year. Yep. And that was just Ryan Hart. So we saw P2, 30.127 for the number 3. And here's a driver who's looking for a win to get in. Paul Irvin, he is deep in the playoff. On the outside looking into the playoffs, he's sitting at 16th in the points and sitting 18th right now on the qualifying chart.
You know, you said 29s. I have my sources showing that it is a possible hot lap running around 29.652 with this setup. So that's with some pretty good drivers. That's the one I have looked up, and they have fuel anywhere between 65 and 70. Because I know these guys love to make me out to be wrong. There's Jake.
There is the 91 of Jake Nichols. As mentioned, he won last week at COTA. He's won 5 of the 10 Cup races this season. If this were baseball, he'd be batting 500 because he's won half of the Cup races.
You only need about a 300 to be a pro.
Yeah. So fans, make sure you put in your bets in the chat below. Once again, which team will win tonight's Cup race. You can select any of the teams with exclamation point bet, Solar, Transcendent, Infinite, Physicus, Elwood, JBR, DWR, Elite, or if you think an open car is going to win, simply put non-team, all one word, and wager any channel points from 5 to 400.
I'm gonna say we don't have much NASCAR to talk about because the Cup Series didn't run this weekend. They did run the other two series at Knoxville in the dirt.
Yeah, Cup and Xfinity were off. Only trucks went to Knoxville,
ARCA was there too, weren't they? At Knoxville.
ARCA was in Berlin.
Oh, Berlin. That's right. Yes, they were.
Yeah, that short track without a wall on the backstretch.
Yes, I love that track. If you ever get a chance to get up to Michigan, that is an awesome track. A lot of history there. So much history that I keep forgetting where I'm at. You know, I think that's the age coming into play. We all can't be the age of Hunter.
And it looks like we all can't beat David Weisler because even after Jake Nichols' qualifying run, he is still the quickest driver out there. That number 33 is. He's sitting up top with a 30.083, and Jake Nichols ran a 30.096.
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, I mean, this is a track that's going to be about tempo and taking care of the equipment. I just said 65 to 70 laps under fuel, since we are running an unrestricted. We do have, was it 3 sets of tires? Yep, 3 sets of tires in there, and we're going to run 130 laps. So my guess, from my perspective, is we're going to cut this sucker in half and have a set left over.
Crew Chief Harold with the hat on.
Put the hat on, my Larry McReynolds hat. I should have asked Jesse to get with Larry and get me one, so I could actually look like Larry, you know.
Well, I'm looking through here, and Nick Johnson, as we saw in the point standings, was barely above the cut line to be in the playoffs. He qualified 5th so far, 30.180 with less than 3 minutes remaining.
Now we got a few drivers that went out. Looks like their times were not counted. It was Gary Lewis and Garrett Grant. Not sure why they weren't counted, but they weren't. So Patterson, Dixon, Lewis, Grant, and Trader all without time. So 23 drivers have gone out and put in a qualifying time.
Yeah, either they might have gone loose and might have scraped the wall, or just didn't feel like they were comfortable with qualifying the car. Didn't feel like they had a capable enough car to put down a fast lap and just decided to back out of it, because that has happened this year. Yep. And it has happened where drivers will get a little too close to the outside wall going off the turn and down the straightaways, and they clip it, and when they clip it, it erases their lap time, meaning it won't count. And it looks like that might have happened to Garrett Grant and Gary Lewis. Good to see Gary Lewis, though, back in the Cup field. Had to take the last couple of Mondays off, but good to see him back, and he's got to start from deep in the field.
Yep, he's going to start back in the field. Garrett Grant, not sure I think he had 2 incident points, so that was probably what you're saying, like he touched something. Gary Lewis may have, but it was a 0x. But if you touch the wall and it even indicates a 0x in your windshield, basically means you touched something. Wasn't enough to get an incident point, but it still will disallow the qualifying time.
And I don't think we'll get anyone else to go out. So as you mentioned, only 23 drivers have put down lap times. And once again, looking through the top 5 and top 10 times, James Shanewolf, 10th quickest right now with a 30.2. He hasn't had a good Cup season. He's had quite a bit of bad luck, kind of like Cameron Hearn in the Lodgeback Series, just always getting caught up in incidents with lap cars. That isn't his fault. It's not his fault. He's just getting caught up in it, and he's just having nowhere to go. And, you know, hopefully Nashville can turn that luck around and he can finish the season strong.
About 25 seconds left, and we'll get to the grid. Get this thing kicked off for 130 laps at the Music City here in Nashville. It's a daytime race, which is kind of interesting. I know we were doing a whole lot of nighttime racing here in the area, and now we're starting to see some hotter tracks, which Makes things a little more interesting when the track gets nice and greasy.
Yeah, it makes it a little more slick. And I was looking at the Real Life Cup series and what time they'll be racing. They'll be racing at 5 Eastern on Sunday. So that might transition into the night before the race is over. You never know. And this race, I don't think it'll transition into that, but it's always a possibility. Never say never. All right.
Yeah,
So
really.
here is the starting lineup for tonight's race. And on the pole, it's David Weishart dealing it from Jake Nichols over there. Going to share row one. Row two, Ryan Hartz and Cameron Hearn. Row three, Nick Johnston and Alan Balancino. Row four, Dom DeLeo and Chris Seinfeld. And then in row five, Garrett Heath and James Shanewolf.
And row number 6, James Scioli and TK Nichols, brother of Mr. Nichols there in the 79, not on the grid just yet. Inside of row number 7 is Mr. Slaughter, and outside him Swerve Irvin in the 48. Inside of row number 8 is Martin, and outside of him is Swan. So the 1-1 and the 11 and 1 are next to one another. And behind them, looks like the boss is back there with Dwayne Culberson on the inside and Jacob Bell on the outside. Look at all those Jacob Bell guys all together in one little area. They're trying to keep it nice and neat. And then we got Ed Robertson and Jay Perkins in row number 10.
And we got Daniel Miglin and Adam Capps over in row 11. In row 12, we got Forrest Smith, and he was the last car to put down a time. So after Garrett Grant on back, these are the drivers who did not put down a lap time. So Forrest Smith and Garrett Grant in row 12. Then in row 13, Gary Lewis and Brian Dixon. And in the last row, Drew Trader and Mark Patterson. And that is your 28-car field for tonight's race, the Music City 180. And as Harold mentioned, 130 laps slated to run here tonight. It's 173 miles, but I like a round number, so I put 180. I'm a little biased with the 8. Big Dale Jr. fan.
Who knows, maybe you've got a clear crystal ball and think we're going into overtime.
Maybe. We do only get one attempt at a green white checker, so there is a chance where it could go 180 miles. There is the pace car. Use the access row there through 1 and 2. Fans, make sure you get your picks in because after the green flag flies, the contest will end. What Cup team will win tonight's race? You can bet with exclamation point bet. Solar, Transcendent, Infinite, Physicus, Elwood, JBR, DWR, Elite, or non-team. And I'll remain channel points from 5 to 400. And the pace car makes the hard left turn on the pit road. David Wise started Jake Nichols leading the field to the green flag. And we're underway from Nashville Super Speedway. Sart comes through to lead lap number 1, has a 4-car length lead over Jake Nichols. And right in the back, you got Balancino looking low, but settling back in right behind Cameron Hearn. And then a little further back to the outside, looks like Scienfine and Scioli are door to door. Tucked back in line, and we'll look further back here. There's the 22 of Dom DeLeo. And Weishart puts up the fastest lap for the race on lap number 3. The Solar teammates, Tyler Nichols in the red 79 and Twain Culberson in the blue 81, door to door going into turn 3. Battle for the 16th position. I heard from drivers before the lobby opened up tonight that this looked like it was going to be a one-groove track and that the bottom would be key. So it'll be interesting to see if that top can hold its own. And it looks like Jacob Bell going to try and give the 79 a little momentum push down the back. Bell and Culberson still door to door. And it looks like we got a little more drivers trying to go on the outside through the turns. Meanwhile, up front, David Weishart has opened that lead to 1 second over Jake Nichols. And it's pretty much bumper to bumper behind. I think we have a close battle for that 5th spot. They were door to door up in front. That's who it was. It was the 22 of Dom DeLeo. It looked like he was to the outside. But he's tucked back in line, and kind of like what we had at Charlotte. Just kind of single file racing. The 33 leading with the 91 running in second.
Little conga line from second all the way back to what, 11th?
11th, yep. And that 11th position is James Scioli, and he won the Lodgebox Series race last week at Dakota. It was either going to be between him or Nick Johnston had the competition yellow not come out, and the pitch strategy not worked out for them because both of them stayed out. And then when the competition yellow came out, they pitted, and they could not get back to the front. And two drivers who did pit and benefit the most out of that are the current top two right now, and David Weishart and Jake Nichols. Well, further back, Shane Wolf and Sign Fine door to door for the top 10 spot. Looks like Shane Wolf is going to move into 9th, actually, so Sign Fine will drop back to 10th, and then right behind him, the 7 of Scioli. Like you mentioned, just a big conga line here. Starting to see a little separation between the 70 Balancino and the 3 of Ryan Hart's 4th and 5th on the track. Here comes Balancino with a run off the corner. Going to look down low on Cameron Hearn. Now right behind looks like Nicholas Johnston, who peeking his nose down low on the 3 of Ryan Hart. So we got double side by side. One of them is for the 3rd spot, and one of them is for the 5th spot. They're both going to tuck it back in. I know we've only crossed lap 10, Harold, but to me it feels like the rest of the field, they're saving their tires, and that the 33 of Weishart is trying to get as big of a lead as he can.
Oh, definitely. He's playing the strategy game, getting the most out of his tires now. Jake Nichols may be playing the strategy of getting most of his tires in the second part of this run. The one thing David Weishart doesn't have to deal with is traffic.
Yeah, that is true. He has clean air, and he's got a big enough gap separating him and Jake Nichols. I was going to mention Jake. He really wasn't up front much for Gateway, but he wound up winning that race just because he held on so long to the tires, didn't overcook them, just rode it out with him, didn't use them until he needed to, and then just kind of swallowed the field there. So he knows a thing or two about saving tires, and the 33 of Weishart knows a thing or two about going fast, especially at Nashville, because like mentioned in the pre-race, he won Season 1 here for the Cup Series, and he would go on to win the Cup Series championship. So if tradition follows from Season 1, the winner of this race could potentially be the season champion.
This from my time on this racetrack, Phoenix does share a little bit of the nuances with this track. There's some similarities in, part of the track in Phoenix. You get that really weird size. So I believe it's the bigger turn, the turn 1 and 2, that this shares with this track, the similar area with the dog leg extortion. That's nothing like this track. But some similarity though. It's kind of the way you drive it. So more of a short track than a super speedway. Kind of weird as in the name is called super speedway, but not quite.
Quite a super speedway, but it got the name super speedway, so it differentiates from the Nashville Fairgrounds.
Right.
We've got some shuffling going around back towards the top 10. Shane Wolf and Simon Fine were moving up. Now we got Johnston and DeLeo going at it door to door right in front of Shane Wolf. That's Garrett
Heath.
Oh,
big contact.
Big contact. Garrett Heath into the outside wall. Simon Fine spinning around. The caution might be coming out. And there it is. Took a little bit for that yellow to come out, but the 23 and the 45 made contact coming out of turn 4. They both went spinning into the outside wall, and that brings out our first caution of the night here on lap 15. Take a look at our one-to-go replay and look at how the two came together. This is the lap of 4, so there's Simon Fine, the white 45, down on the bottom. They're running on board with, actually on top of the 23 of Garrett Heath. I was going to say, there was some shuffling going around back towards 8th, 9th, and 10th. Shane Wolf got out of this hornet's nest behind him. There's the 45 down low, the 23 on the outside. Got a little too close to the wall, and they make contact coming out of the turn. It looks like the 23, there might have been netcode. Because it looked like there was some space.
You're watching the 23, because I think the 23 feels like he's in the wall, and he makes evasive maneuver, and it comes down, and the 45 is coming up. That's what I'm thinking we're going to see, but we'll run it through here. There was actual contact there. You can see right here in the view we have. They're definitely inside of each other there. But I think it was Steinfeiden and the other driver. It was Heath. So I think Heath reacted off the wall, and I think that's what might have caused this. Well, we'll find out what our race control people have to say.
Car 23 EOL at fault for incident.
There you go. So from race control, the 23 coming off the wall, collecting the other car of, man, my brain is definitely, you have to help me out there.
23 Garrett Heath. Yeah, 23 Garrett Heath was given the EOL after contact was made between he and Chris Simon for causing an incident, which was the first caution of the race tonight. On lap 15, and coverage of tonight's race, the Music City 180 here at Nashville, is brought to you by Elite Entertainment. We would like to thank Elite Entertainment for their support of the Elite Entertainment Cup Series and from all of us here at Area. Be sure to check out Elite Entertainment on Facebook and book them to DJ your next event. We're under our first caution after the 23 and the 45 made contact. I don't think anyone else was involved because when Scientifier was spinning, he came back and into the 23 of Garrett Heath and kept his car straight, but it sent the 23 into another spin.
We did have everybody back from 18th came down, so.
I was going to say, we had a mixed bag here from pit road. Half the field looks like they stayed out, or actually over half the field stayed out. And as you mentioned, from 18th on back, well, 19th on back, I should say, they made pit stops. So starting with Nick Johnston, 28, with fresh tires, and the rest of the field behind. No retirees just yet. Although Simon Fine is still in pit road, serving repairs to that damaged 45.
That shows Seidenfeiden back on the racetrack, but 1 minute and 4 seconds in his box.
And he moves in front of Ryan Swan and Jacob Bell. Looks like those two came back into top off on fuel. You see the pace car make his way down pit road once again. David Weishart going to bring the field back to the green flag here in Nashville. And a good restart that time on bottom right behind the 33 is Cameron Hearn trying to move up into the second spot, and he will.
Well, this will definitely make these guys have way more fuel than they need to get to the halfway mark. But as you saw, the front 18 drivers electing to stay out. That's the strategy I think they're still on. The halfway come down and top off in fuel, or in 4 tires. And the other guys now can go about 40 laps remaining in the race before they'll have to come back down.
Jake Nichols falling back to third, Hearn up to second, but still in the lead. It's the 33 of David Weishart. A little further back here, we got the 81 of Dwayne Culberson, one of the drivers who was close to making the playoffs. On the outside looking in, and there's his teammate Tyler Nichols there. Yes, related to Jake Nichols. 91 to 79 are currently in the playoffs. Meanwhile, the 81 is still trying to race his way in. There's Garrett Green in the 5, but there's the 20 of Nick Johnston, who I believe is the highest in the field amongst those that came down pit road.
Yep, 4 new tires for the number 28, so keep an eye on him and see what he can make happen with the fresh set of rubber.
There's not too huge of a difference. It's only 17 laps between those that stayed out and those that came down pit road.
Like Jake Nichols has told us before, fall off of tires in iRacing are like huge cliffs. like after like 5 laps, it's a drop off of like a half a second, then another second after that. So it could be a big difference. I think right now it's hurting him as he's in a bunch of traffic. He's got to work around them.
Oh, absolutely. Obviously, you want clean air if you've got newer tires, but you know, Johnston just working his way through the field, picking them off one by one. He's now side by side for the 6th position over the 7 of Sky Only.
Either way, a big move by the 28 to take tires, to work on these guys to try to get himself in the top 3. And then he's also got fuel to go further if he needs to, if we continue the green flag to the midway point.
Yep, absolutely. Passes the 70 Balancino, going to pass the 3 of Brian Hartz on the outside, move into 4th. Meanwhile, Jake Nichols actually moved up into 2nd over Cameron Hearn, who is the next victim that Nick Johnston is looking to pass, and the 91 is on the bumper of the 33.
You're saying that David Weishart may have used up the good feel off those feel goods, and the number 91 capitalizing on his better taking care of that equipment to maintain a faster line. As here comes the 28.
Boy,
he is flying. Might be a little block there from the 33. He's like, not so fast.
Oh, he might give him a little push here. Going to get him all squirrely into 3. Jake Nichols down low, trying to take the lead away from David Weishart. Got an interesting 3-car battle for the lead, and the 91 looking like he's going to lead the lap this time. Weishart not trying to give it up just yet, but here comes the 28 of Nick Johnston. The fresher tires is key, and he's going to pass the 91 of Jake Nichols with these. So it's short-lived for Jake Nichols. Nonetheless, still a bonus point for leading a lap, but the lead now sits in the hands of Nick Johnston.
It looks like David Weishart likes that short run on his car. Might need to do something to extend or hope that he's in a position to have his feel goods at the end of the race. It looks like Jake Nichols able to take care of the car better on a long run condition, as we're now at 27 laps into the race and not even halfway through the fuel run yet.
No, not at all. And that 28 already got a 1-second lead over the 91 of Jake Nichols. He continues to drive away from the field. Let's go a little further back here. Garrett Grant and Dom DeLeo. This is the battle for the top 5 spot.
DeLeo also using those 4 new tires, though.
Yep, he's moving up and now inside the top 5. But back behind those 2, we got a cluster going on here. I believe it's a mix of those drivers that pitted and those that did not, because Jacob Bell and Ryan Swan are up here. And look, the 45 is Scienfine. He was just spinning like 10 laps ago, and now he's back inside the top 10.
Looking pretty good.
Well.
Yeah. So it was looking pretty good for a car that just got spun.
Yeah, and not only just spun, but he hit the wall a ton as well. Leland now on the bumper of Jake Nichols, looking for the second spot as he's continuing to work his way through the top 5. Going to have a run on him right here. Down the bottom goes the 22 of Dom DeLeo. He's had a solid season, very consistent. He has yet to pick up a win, but towards the end of the season last year in the Swift Lifestyle Pro Series in the ARCA cars, he started out slow, but as the season worked its way through, he gradually picked up more knowledge in the car and wound up winning at the right time and made the Final Four for the ARCA Series. So he's looking to build a little bit of that run here just before the playoffs start. Right here we got Valentino Scioli, and I believe that is the 69 of Gary Lewis.
Gary Lewis also came down to get 4 new tires. As the guys with all the new tires are starting to climb, Jake Nichols and Dave Weiss are the only ones that are out. But look at Seidenfeld now in the 4th spot.
Yep, all the way on the outside. That's borderline Larson line right there. Ryan Swan, Jacob Bell as well. Those two now, they topped off just before the green flag flew, so they're sitting a little more comfortable on fuel, but nonetheless, they still have the fresh tires like Johnston, DeLeo, and Seidenfeld. This is one of the benefits of pitting early because you can tell the difference in speed between the cars that pitted and those that stayed out. But those that stayed out, they're taking notice of this. And if there's a late race yellow, they can come down pit road and put on four Goodyear Eagles and have that advantage over these guys that pitted, because now they're sitting at one less tire set.
I was going to wonder how you think you get 3 tires instead of 4.
Very rarely you can also only get 1 tire in real life racing.
And how are they going to do that?
iRacing, I have no clue, but it's happened before in the truck series.
Yeah, iRacing won't happen. It'll be 0, 2, or 4 in iRacing, unfortunately. Right side, left sides, or both, or none. So looking at Jake Nichols now back to 6th. Garrett Grant in the 8th spot with Weishart just behind him. Johnston out to a huge lead, 2.3 seconds over the rest of the field.
Yep, and that entire top 6 you see are those that pitted and have the newer tires in the field. And 2 of those guys were involved in our first caution, Garrett Heath and Chris Seidenfeld. They're in P3 and P6 right now. And Garrett Heath trying to work his way inside the top 5, looking underneath the 77 of Jacob Bell. We're seeing these guys with the newer tires start to gradually work their way higher on the track, as you saw the 77 of Bell do it, but he lost a spot, so he's now outside the top 5. 91 of Jake Nichols trying to stay with these guys on the older tires. As we work our way through, just about to say Gary Lewis is sitting on the verge of the top 10. Weishart sitting P9, Cameron Hearn P10, but Gary Lewis has the better tires than those 2 in front of him, and he's going to try and work that outside line, get a run off the corner. Cameron Hearn actually going to look low on David Weishart. battle for the ninth spot. Meanwhile, the 11th car in line on the board is looking to get around both of these guys, but can't quite figure out when and where to make the move. See Cameron Hearn trying to get around the 33. Well, Gary Lewis just doesn't know when to make the move, and now he'll do it. Looking for 10th. Trying to take it away from Cameron Hearn on the outside. Really venturing that higher groove. Might have been a little too high for that 69. We call them marbles. That's where the 69 of Gary Lewis was on the track. We'll go further back to Jay Perkins in the 49 car. Staying in the 20th spot. Battle for the lead here, heating up. Dom DeLeo has caught up with Nick Johnston. So close. There you see the front bumper of the 22 of DeLeo. We're right on board with him as he looks to take the lead away from Johnston, possibly into turn 3. Mentioned, we haven't talked about DeLeo too much this season. He has run consistent to where he's inside the top 10 in points, but just being able to lead the lap, that's another bonus point. And if he could lead the most laps in tonight's race, that's another bonus point, and that would benefit him for the playoffs. He goes to the inside of Johnston, heading into turn 1, and Johnston's going to give the lead up. He might cross him over. Be tight. All right there.
Wow.
Off of turn 2. Yeah, looked like DeLeo was about to pull a Gary Lewis and have his car wash up the track. Meanwhile, those who have stayed out are now in pit road. David Weishart has made his way on the pit road, along with James Scioli, Alan Balancino, Daniel Miglin, Forrest Smith as well. All those guys coming down pit road, putting on their fresh set of tires. And Harold, I was kind of thinking about it. They could split it into thirds and pit every 40 laps.
You know, that may be the Weishart and the guys that are coming down now, but I'm willing to bet that Jake Nichols takes it to the halfway mark.
Garrett Heath is down pit road as well. We'll take a look at currently Weishart's led the most laps at 24, Johnston at 17. Jake Nichols and Dom DeLeo have both led 1 lap. Now make that 2 for DeLeo. But Garrett Heath is down pit road again.
Jake Nichols in the 4th spot. You know, I bet he's trying to make this on 1 stop.
He went about 90 laps at Gateway on a set of tires and fuel. I can only imagine what he would do here at Gateway. And we've already had a caution, so he could have saved a little bit of fuel under that yellow to try and stretch out when he'll pit. He's actually moved back in front of the 77 of Jacob Bell, who came down and pitted right before we went back green, topped off on fuel. So he's got the 5. Oh, they nearly made contact right there of Garrett Grant.
So,
close to him.
Race control's telling us that a glitch has happened to the 23, and he's used all of his right side tires, according to iRacing. So the 23 of Garrett Heath has no more right sides, and that's going to hurt.
That is absolutely going to hurt. Why that would be the case, I'm not sure. Like you said, it might be a glitch in the system that is it's going to hinder the 23, absolutely. But, was perplexed by his decision to come down pit road again. So something we'll have to keep an eye on.
Garrett Heath, the 23. So apparently he does not have any more right side tires to use. That was very interesting to me. So 22 continues to lead the way here. And Johnston coming.
Johnston 1.1 seconds behind the 22 of D'Elia. He's got a couple lap cars in front of him, one of them being Ryan Dixon, who just came off pit road trying to get one of his laps back.
Caps is the other.
And D'Elia's just going to move to the side, let both of them go. That's going to allow the lead to dwindle a little bit for the 22. Johnston able to close within a couple car lengths there.
So a few cars have yet to pit. Jake Nichols, Garrett Grant, Dwayne Culberson, James Shane Wolf, TK Nichols, Jay Perkins, and Mark Patterson have all yet to pit.
The 12 cars on the lead lap, and the last of those is Mark Patterson. It'll be interesting here if Jake Nichols can go further than the cars that pitted, like the Leo Johnston and Ryan Swan.
Well, I think I see Jake Nichols coming down just after 65. I mean, he might prove me wrong, but I'm thinking that's where he's going to do, split this thing. That'll leave him with 2 sets of tires for any late stage cautions.
In an area that possibility is open, because it can happen at any moment. Caution could come out and it could flip this whole race upside down.
Yep. The only thing I like upside down is my pineapple cake. And the 03 had a speeding after entry before pitting his box. Brian Dixon caught speeding on pit lane going down to the box.
Let's look back around 7th, because Gary Lewis and Dwayne Culberson are swapping positions like crazy. And oh my goodness, they got a gaggle of cars right behind him. Oh! Boy, that is... Yeah, good luck. They're 3 wide going in the corner. Wow. And that's the difference in old tires and newer tires. Those with newer tires are gone from this pack. This is all the battle for 7th right here. 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. All in this picture. Shane Wolf getting up to 7th. Culberson trying to take that spot away. Tyler Nichols right behind. And behind him is Gary Lewis. There's Jordan Martin, Brad Slaughter, and then the number 48 of Paul Irvin.
Garrett Heath just in front of this group at 23. See Swerve and Irvin dive underneath him. Talk about Heath is going to have a heck of a time trying to finish this race, trying to run the remainder of the race on those right sides.
Yeah, that is going to be extremely tough. We're close to halfway, but man, that is something I've never seen before.
Yeah, first time I've heard of that. I'm not sure what would have caused it.
And you know what? This is going to be it's a little friendly fire, because it's going to help Nick Johnston in the points, because Garrett Heath entered tonight's race +6 to the good. It's going to help Johnston. It's going to help Ryan Swan and Dwayne Culberson, and it's going to help Alan Balancino increase that points gap from himself and Garrett Heath. So it's going to be a rough night for the 23, and it might put him into a situation where he has to win at Talladega next week, because that is the last race of the regular season before we go to our 5-race playoffs.
Weishart now trying the first car a lap down, trying to work his way around the race leader, number 22 of Dom DeLeo on fresher tires. Should be able to pass to the high side with no real issue here on the backstretch.
He's going to do just that. Didn't want to pull a J.R. Hilderman and go too wide and hit the wall.
There's
Battle
Jake
for
Nichols.
third.
Yep.
I was about to say battle for third, heating up. He's passing the one of Swan, and here come the gaggle of cars that are on fresher tires, catching these lap cars.
Like
They're
four
wide
wide.
right there. Four wide with newer tires, older tires, all the tires. Man, that was nuts. You could do that on a straightaway. Don't try it in the turn. I don't think that's going to work. So there's Slaughter and Paul Irving right behind the 91 of Jake Nichols. They're going to split him in the middle. Oh, not quite.
Lots of different lines being taken through these corners as well. You see the different arcs in that last corner. Right now, the first car lap down, the Rick's Hot Sauce number 3 of Ryan Hartz.
Yep, Hart's already locked into the playoffs after his win earlier this season at Darlington. And in that race, he was the only car to finish with a 0x. Of all places, Darlington. And that's a bonus point for finishing your race without any incident points. So that's more good karma going to the 3 of Ryan Hartz. He looks to build a strong run here heading into postseason.
So approaching halfway here.
And we're about 5 laps away from halfway. The 22 of Dom DeLeo continuing to lead. Nick Johnston 1.7 seconds behind him. Jake Nichols, he has yet to pit, sits in 3rd. Garrett Grant 4th. And Ryan Swan 5th. You just saw those 3 moments ago as they had an encounter with drivers on newer tires and older tires. And if this thing goes green to the end, that'll be interesting. And if it comes down to the fuel, that's David Weishart's favorite way of a race going down. He loves the fuel mileage.
You're being facetious.
Facetious or
Physicus.
Because yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Physicus Motorsports.
He
Dom
definitely
DeLeo.
does not like. He's not a fan of the fuel runs. Not a fuel strategy races. He's gotten burned a lot on the fuel strategy. He kind of likes the idea of being able to race the tires, not so much the fuel calculation. He said he's had issues being correct on that, more than once being burned on the fuel line. We know famously Eric Wineland finishing races with fumes in the car.
There's the 3 of Hartz to the outside of Dom DeLeo, looking to get his lap back. And Alan Balancino also trying to do the same. Hartz to the outside, and
Balancino's the
He's
buddy.
gonna let him go.
That's team racing there. Balancino's like, bud, hey, give me some help.
Hey, boss man,
Yeah,
help me out.
stay on that high side. I don't want no trouble.
And over the last few weeks, Balancino's been putting together some impressive runs.
Yeah.
And he sits 10th in the point standings, +7 to the cut line heading into tonight's race. And with the misfortune that Garrett Heath had, the glitch in all the right side tires being used, that's going to help somebody Balancino as we go to complete the rest of the race. Close to the halfway rundown, Dom DeLeo is 2 laps shy from tying David Weishart and 3 laps away from taking over as the lap leader in the race. And it's a bonus point if you lead the most laps. And so the 22 will come off turn 4 and down the front stretch, and we will get into the halfway portion of our race officially. And we'll take a look at our top 10 rundown presented by Swift Lifestyles. Fans, be sure to visit our sponsor Swift Lifestyles for clean supplements that can help improve your focus and gaming. Use a discount code on your screen, Area iRacing, AREA iRacing, for 15% off any order. We would like to give a big thanks to Swift Lifestyles for their continued support of Area iRacing. So Strategy has put the 22 of Dom DeLeo into the lead. He has just now tied David Weishart for most laps led tonight at 24. Best run of the season so far, been very consistent all year long, but looking to get a little extra boost heading into the playoffs. That's where the 22 car might be heading if things go according to his favor. And right behind him, you got Nick Johnston sitting at around 1.7 seconds behind him. Had a solid run last week at Coda and looking for another solid run as he's one of the drivers that's barely above the cut line to make the postseason. And with the second place run so far, it looks like that might be where he's headed. Still got to go through Talladega next week, but for the most part, solid run tonight for the 28 of Johnston. And then right behind him, he has yet to pit. We've crossed halfway. He is still not down pit road. That is Jake Nichols. He was last week's winner from Coda. He's won 5 of the 10 races here in the Elite Entertainment Cup Series. And who knows when that 91 will come down pit road, but for certain, he will be a factor to watch out in the second half of this race. Ryan Swan was another one of those cars that came down pit road and took tires after the first caution. He actually came back down pit road just before the green flag flew to top off on fuel. So the number 1 car, he is been on the outside looking into the postseason. He's trying to do all that he can. So far, so good for the most part. P4 for Swan. And right behind him is the boss man, Jacob Bell. He, along with Ryan Swan, they both came down pit road just before the green flag flew to top off on fuel. Both these guys are running inside the top 5. Haven't talked too much about Jacob Bell in the Cup Series this season. Just kind of using these races as practice for tomorrow night or for Tuesday night in the Truck Series. So we'll see how this run pays off here. But for the moment, sitting in P5, and right behind him is the brother of Jake Nichols, Tyler Nichols, having a solid season as well for the number 79 Solar Flare Racing car, as we see Garrett Heath go by. James Shanewolf, haven't talked too much about him. He's kind of been the Cameron Hearn of the Cup Series, just bad luck going his way, and he's actually coming down pit road this time. So we'll shift gears now to Gary Lewis. Actually, yep, there he is. Well, there's Dwayne Culberson right there. They're both in the frame. Actually, that was Forrest Smith. But Dwayne Culberson was another one of these drivers on the outside looking in, trying to get a solid finish here, and he's running in 7th for the moment. Solid run there. There's Cameron Hearn. As mentioned, he has had bad luck in the Lodgeback Series. The Cup Series, he's had solid runs, trying to piece it all together and bring home a win. And Chris Seinfeld over here as the top 10 is shuffling because we got cars inside the top 5 making their way down pit road. Seinfeld was involved in the first caution, but he is back running inside the top 10. And there he is, Gary Lewis. Haven't talked too much about him this season. Took the last couple of weeks off. And he's back running into 8th place for Team Transcendent. Always good to see the number 69 car on the racetrack. Right behind him is David Weishart. He led the first portion of this race. And then those pitted behind him quickly got up to the front, and he's kind of been running around the back half of the top 10. As we continue to see the top 5 cars come down pit road, the 7 of Scioli has now moved into the 8th spot. He won last week's race at Coda for the Lodgebox Series, and he's following it up with an impressive run here so far. Alan Balancino, teammate of Dom DeLeo in Fazikis Motorsports, as we mentioned, he is barely above the cut line, but needing a solid finish here to get inside the postseason. That was your top 10 rundown presented by Swift Lifestyles as the 22 of Dom DeLeo. Boy, that was like a roulette board. Cars were coming down pit road. We had new guys entering the top 10. One of those being Ryan Swan that came down pit road. It looked like he came down pit road.
Ryan Swan was back on pit road 6th. Well, showing that he's Wow, that's interesting. He's showing 57 laps since he's been on pit lane. That would be about right. He was down in the last caution, and it was a 9-second pit stop. Him and Jacob Bell, but Jacob Bell went down earlier, so Ryan Swan will inherit the lead here.
Okay. And that's a bonus point for Ryan Swan. I don't know why I thought he came down pit road. I must have gotten that confused with Jacob Bell because he is no longer inside the top 5 nor the top 10. It's in 21st, actually, Jacob Bell is, but Ryan Swan staying out leading the lap. That's another bonus point. That's exactly what he needs as we get closer and closer towards the postseason. And he was -4 heading into tonight's race, so he's going to be at least -3 after tonight's race. Or once, I should say 1 point closer. There is the 91 of Jake Nichols, and he did come down pit road. He's sitting 19th at the moment, but man, it must feel good for him to have those fresh tires because he had to stay out for so long, and he came down pit road just a few laps ago, and now he is quickly putting those tires to use as, boy, I was out of gas, just moving out of the way. There is Cameron Hearn, who is shuffled now into the lead as Ryan Swan has come down pit road.
And so this group here, the top 4, 30-plus laps on their tires. Garrett Lewis, 61, so Garrett Lewis is going to be coming back down soon to get his service done. And then they'll take us all the way back to Vallecino. Then somebody with fresher tires within the rest of the group is Garrett Grant in the 8th spot in the number 5 car.
A lot of moving parts here, a lot of different strategies to keep up with as the race rolls on. Our way through the field, trying to find any close battles on the racetrack. The battle for second might be close between Simon Fiden and David Weishart. As we look back, there is Valentino and Gary Lewis. There we go, the 45 and the 33, nose and tail. Battle for second, as these guys, as Harold mentioned, are now 34 to 36 laps on their current set of tires. These guys will have to pit before the checkered flag flies here in Nashville. There's Ryan Swan and Tyler Nichols, both with fresher tires, working their way. Oh, that was close. Gosh, that was close. The 45 was moving up as the one of Swan was moving to the outside, and that might have opened up the door for Weishart to take the spot away as Valentino, actually, Gary Lewis comes down pit road. Valentino is still on the track. Cameron Hearn still in the lead. There is Dom D'Elia inside the top 10. Now up to 9th, passing Paul Irvin. There's the pass from the 33 of Weishart over Chris Simon. So second and third have switched. It looks like Sci-Fi's coming out pit road.
Update on the 23 car. Continuing to have problems. iRacing is saying you have right sides, just not right rears. So,
Wow.
Not sure how that happened, but he's only getting the right front replaced, not the right rear.
That's even better. Gosh, that is nuts.
Well, you're putting all the pressure on the right front, so having the right rear might be a little bit, it's going to hurt him in the long run, but maybe not. Maybe be able to get to the end without any right fronts. I don't think that's even possible from here.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened. That is such unfortunate luck there for the 23 Garrett Heath, who entered tonight's race +6 to the good in the playoffs. So he is looking to just man, I'm at a loss of words because I've never heard of such a thing as now we see Weishart coming down pit road and Cameron Hearn behind as
scheduled
well.
for Weishart.
Actually, That was Scioli.
Yep. This is scheduled for Weishart. He's doing that 40 lap, breaking this thing into thirds. So this will be his last pit stop.
There is the 67 Cameron Horn. But I was mentioning about Garrett Heath. He's just got to handle.
He must have heard you.
Yeah, now he's coming down pit road. And he got the car
Whoa,
behind
contact.
him. Oh, that's Ryan Hart's making contact with, I believe, Adam Capps in the 55. And now the 3 goes into the lead.
Difference in tires there. Ryan Hart's 41 laps on his tires. The 55 Adam Capps 2 laps. So brand new tires. So fast tires eating up there.
And even more of a difference in tires here with the top 3. As you mentioned, Ryan Hart's 41, 20 for Garrett Grant, and for the 28 behind him moving into second, Nick Johnston, 11. So quite a range of tires there within the top 3 as Nick Johnston going to look and try and get a run on the outside of the 3. And no contest whatsoever. Nick Johnston back into the lead.
It's 30 lap difference on tires, so Nick Johnston back to the lead.
Garrett Grant moving into second and right in front of Nick Johnston. Excuse me, that is Cameron Hearn.
Cameron Hearn stayed on the lead lap coming out of the pit lane. So
Ryan Hart has made his way down pit road now.
Lots of different tire strategies rolling around here. Going to keep us busy. For sure. We see TK Nichols in a little group here with Shane Wolf.
Yep, this is right around the 10th spot. 9th is Shane Wolf. 10th is Tyler Nichols. Right here we got Weishart and Seidenbein still nose and tail with each other after making their pit stops. They're running 14th and 15th on the track at the moment, and Sevena Scioli has just put down the fastest lap of the race.
We have 3 drivers have disconnected. Daniel Miglin, the last of them, Alan Ballacino, and Brian Dixon. So 25 cars on the racetrack. 2 laps down is Forrest Smith. Then a lap down from Ryan Swan all the way down to Adam Capps.
Well, that's tough for Ballacino disconnecting. He entered tonight's race +7 to the good, so that might put him at a must-win situation heading into next week's race at Talladega.
Looks like Ryan Swan may be disconnecting as well, all the way back in the 23rd position. And grayed out on my screen, which usually means they're about to drop out. Yep, down to the 24th position behind Adam Capps, so waiting for that actual official message from iRacing for that.
It's looking like he might have disconnected. He's continuing to drop on the leaderboard, and his name is grayed out compared to Forrest Smithson in 25th, who is still active, and yep, now he has been passed by Forrest Smith. That's 4 drivers right there. It looked like they disconnected. Tough for both Ballacino and Ryan Swan. As mentioned, Ballacino is on the plus side heading into tonight's race, +7 to the good in points, and Ryan Swan was sitting at -4 heading into tonight's race. So he was the first car on the outside looking in, and both of those guys disconnected, putting themselves in quite a pickle for next week's race at Talladega.
Just got the official market. Ryan Swan has dropped out due to packet loss, which basically means the internet crashed on him.
Oh no. That's probably the worst one that you can have as a retirement from a race. That's extremely unfortunate. So hoping for the best for next week. The one of Swan is out due to internet issues, and Paul Irvin has made his way down pit road. Meanwhile, the 28 of Nick Johnston continues to lead, 1.9 seconds over Tom D'Elia. There is Irvin on pit road.
The race control watching as we were talking about what's going on. The 70 missed pit entry and disconnected based on that. And the 4 and 31 just got into each other on lap 84, not bringing out a caution, but terminal damage to both cars.
Interesting.
or 4 and 31, and yeah, 31's still out there. That's James Shane Wolf, but the 4 disconnected. Scioli been the fastest lap the last couple of laps by as he's looking to get his lap back from Johnston here.
Johnston continuing to lead the 7 of Scioli, now going to get his lap back and put himself back on the lead lap over there in the 13th spot. 14th is Brad Slaughter, who is now the next driver to get their lap back. So if a yellow comes out, he would be the free pass car. Cameron Hearn passing Dwayne Culberson for the 8th spot. Dom DeLeo slowly closing in on Nick Johnston. Boy, these two are still near each other. Seinfeld and White start moving up now on the leaderboard. This is for the 10th position. Seinfeld holds that spot currently. Close as you can be without making contact. There is the 31 of James Shanwolf, running in the 8th spot. Just got passed by Cameron Hearn for 7. And now we see the 91 of Jake Nichols running in the 4th spot. About 6.5 seconds back from race leader Nick Johnston.
But he's eating that in, he's eating into that pretty well, actually. Jake Nichols is the Johnston the leader.
Looking through on the lap times. Now they're going to come across the stripe now, so they are going to change. They're running about identical lap times. Really, everyone in the top 4 that time by 31.7s all throughout the top 4. And then 5th, Jacob Bell running a 32.0. Don't look now because the 22 of Dom DeLeo has closed within a second on race leader Nick Johnston.
This is where Dom got the lead last time, late in the run over Nichols. Nicholas Johnston, sorry.
Yep. Looking through this top 3, neither one of these guys have won a race this season. Nick Johnston, Dom DeLeo, Garrett Grant, all these guys are searching for their first Cup win.
They do have fuel to the end if they can keep their tires underneath them and keep Nichols back there with the number 91.
Boy, it's within half a second now. The 22 closing in on the 28. You can see it right there. Only a few lap difference on the tires. Actually, a 1 lap difference on the tires between the 28 and the 22. DeLeo's got that number 22 car dialed in. Right behind him, though, is the 3 of Ryan Hartz, looking to get around both of these guys and get the lap back. He's now the first car 1 lap down, so he passed Brad Slaughter for that 14th spot. The 22 let the 3 go. He lost a good bit of ground there, but he feels as if he might make it up here in the next couple of laps. Not too far behind him, though, you see in the back is Garrett Grant running in the 3rd spot, about 2 seconds behind the race lead. And Ryan Arts gets around Chip Johnston, so now he is back on the lead lap, which once again puts the 88 of Brad Slaughter as the first car 1 lap down. There is teammate of the 28, I believe that's Jay Perkins in the 49, letting the 28 go on the outside. See how this goes as the 22 inches closer and closer to the lead. The 29 car staying in line with the leader. Now he's going to let the 22 go on the bottom. Going up a fight with that 22 of Dalia. Dalia now struggling to get around that lap car of the 49. Got a nose in front of him, but he's losing time to Johnston. Like I mentioned, there's only one lap difference on the tires between DeLeo and Nick Johnston. At some point, they do even out, but the 49 is still putting up a battle with the 22 of Dom DeLeo. DeLeo just now getting clear of the 49 as they head off into turn one. Gap is now 0.6 between DeLeo and Johnston. 1.8 now between Garrett Grant and Johnston. Jake Nichols is still sitting there, hovering over 6 seconds behind race leader Nicholas Johnston. Cameron Herndon has now moved inside the top 5 after taking the spot away from Jacob Bell, who moves back into P6. There's David Weishart looking to possibly take away the 7th spot from Tyler Nichols, running 7th and 8th on the track currently. Whatever the 22 of DeLeo lost to the 28 of Johnston, he's caught him right back. 3 car lengths separating the lead between DeLeo and Johnston as the 79 and 33 continue to race nose and tail. Weishart looking to the outside as the 22 closes in on the race lead. Garrett Grant hoping that there could be some side-by-side action up front so he can continue to close in on the top 2. Their battle for the lead here, presented by CNC Logging. We would like to thank CNC Logging for their support of the CNC Logging Truck Series this season in area, located in Boiling Springs, South Carolina. CNC Logging is your place to go for any of your logging needs. Got wood? Big or small, summer or fall, we'll cut your log, guaranteed. CNC Logging. Business is starting to pick up. Garrett Grant continuing to close in on the top 2. As DeLeo in the number 22 closing in on the 28 of Nick Johnston.
You know, Garrett Grant has been known as the guy that can keep his stuff good to the end, extending out these long fuel and tire runs. One of the best drivers in our area iRacing for conserving the equipment. Dom DeLeo looking to take back the lead late in this race with just about 20 laps to go.
Yeah, not too many people know that about Garrett Grant because he did that at Atlanta last season in the playoffs and wound up winning that race by saving his tires. So Garrett Grant is capable of doing that, and he's now within a second of the 22 of DeLeo.
Ryan Swan has re-entered the race 21 laps down based on his connection.
See him back, but the damage is already done, as you mentioned, 21 laps down. Man, that is still rough to see for the one of Swan. Johnston holding the 22 at bay. Leo trying to peek his nose down low. Can't quite get there.
DeLeo at this point, you know, he's got the faster car, but whatever he makes this move, he's going to have to make it stick.
He might try the outside.
Because here comes Garrett Grant.
Yeah, Garrett Grant continuing to close in. And to get his first win in the area last season, got to go back to Michigan when he sent it on James Shanewolf on the last lap. So he's not afraid to use that bumper. Sent it on Shanewolf into turn 1 on the last lap at Michigan. He might have to do the same here. The 28 washes up a little bit coming off turn 4. He will hold on to the lead for the moment.
It's like they're matching the 28 of Johnston, matching DeLeo's preferred line, which is allowing Grant to catch up.
I'll say Garrett Grant, he wants to continue to see this because he's reeling them in slowly and slowly. Each lap is getting closer. 8 car lengths now separating Johnston and Grant.
23 is in front of these guys, a lap car.
That is Garrett Heath. He's trying to cut his nose down in front of the 22. Saw something similar with the 49 of Jay Perkins.
Well, the 23 is teammates with the 28, both for Infinite Racing. So
Indeed, that is the case.
So DeLeo now back 2 car lengths, lost about a car length getting around the lap traffic. 15 laps to go here. Garrett Grant sliding the corner.
Sideways.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's gonna hurt.
That is really gonna hurt.
He caught that apron and caused the car to go sideways. Kept it going straight though, and he's gonna try to continue his march to the front.
That have been in reaction to the 23 of Garrett Heath. The 5 gonna have to gather back up, and the 22 gonna try and get a run. Can't quite get to the inside of Johnston. You get up to the bumper, but I feel like as long as the laps continue to dwindle and that 22 is still behind the 28, the odds of the bumper being used are going to increase by each lap.
Garrett's getting bigger and bigger in his rearview mirror too.
Say Garrett Heath might have ticked off the 5 of Garrett Grant a little bit because he's continuing to increase speed underneath that 5 and close down the gap between the top 2. Like we mentioned, these top 3 drivers, they have yet to win this season in the Cup Series. So Nick Johnston, Dom DeLeo, Garrett Grant, they're all going for their first win.
Now Grant has the most laps on his car right now at 52 with 13 laps to go. That'll put him right as what I saw was probably the distance they could go. But I think if anybody can make that happen, it's going to be Garrett Grant.
Garrett Grant isn't even inside the top 20, so if he wins, this might not put him in the playoffs just yet, because in order to advance in the playoffs as a winner, you have to be inside the top 20 in points. So the 5 of Garrett Grant, if he can win, that might push him inside the top 20, and that could shake the points up a lot. These laps are continuing to dwindle, and the excitement is getting higher and higher. The top 3 are all within half a second of each other, going for their first win. Johnston continues to lead the way with DeLeo right behind.
It looks like it's 3 cars.
Grant is coming.
Yep, these 3 cars look like they've got it, so we're staying here. Infinite leading the way, Fazekas in second, and DWR in the 3rd spot. So if you're watching the team bet that from the beginning of the race, that's who we got here. We got Infinite, Fazekas, and DWR, with Solar Racing 5.7 back from the leader. With 10 to go.
Indeed, they'll come across the stripe and get 10 to go. Oh, here comes the 5 of Garrett Grant, looking to the outside, trying to gather a run to get off turn 4.
Garrett Grant with 10 laps more on his tires. Looks like he's got fresh pairs underneath the 5.
Yeah, it looks like it. He's closed up quite a bit. going to be a matter of time before we see someone use their bumper, whether it's the 5 of Grant or the 22 of DeLeo.
Real tight. It's probably one of the closest races we've had 3D. Coming to the ending stage of the race, under 10 laps to go.
Yep. Oh, the 22 sent it in, washed up a little bit off the track. Here comes the 5 of Garrett Grant, looking to the inside of Dom DeLeo.
That's the opening the 5 was looking for.
That's the opening the 20 of Nick Johnston was looking for, trying to get a little bit of breathing room. And the 5 of Grant takes over second from Dom DeLeo. Now has his eyes set on the leader, Nick Johnston.
Dom DeLeo's not done yet. She's putting a charge on the 5. Johnston's going to love that kind of fighting going on behind him.
He wishes it continued a little longer, because here comes the 5 of Garrett Grant closing in on the bumper of the 28. Now, when we went here in season 1, it came down to turn 3 and 4, where Cameron Hearn had the wall ride and get a chance at David Weishart. Don't know if we'll see that again, as the 5 of Grant closes in.
Dom DeLeo's been able to catch back up to the back of the 5 as the 5's trying to find a way around the 28. The 28 being one heck of a blocker. Jam car up front.
Well, that 5, as we mentioned, he's sitting outside the top 20. He's going to want to win, and he's going to make his way through the 28 with a bump. Because that 28, he's doing a good job of blocking the low line. Here comes the 5, trying to get a run on the outside. See if he can work it off turn 2 and down the backstretch. Got a little loose there.
And that low line is definitely where you want to be. The 5's got to dip a nose like he did under the 22. The 28 knows that, and he's going to hold that bottom line, make the 5 pass him on the high side. 5 to go.
Down the front stretch, 5 laps to go from Nashville for the Music City 180. Nick Johnston leads with Garrett Grant in second, Dom DeLeo in third. All these guys are looking for their first Cup win this season. It's just a matter of time before the bumper is used, whether it's from the 22 of DeLeo or the 5 of Garrett Grant. Grant is close here with 4 to go. He might try it now. Nope.
If you use that bumper, you better make sure there's not enough time for you to be repaid.
With DeLeo trying to stay in, and he's slowly losing ground from the front 2 here. Here comes the 5 of Grant, trying to peek his nose down low. Oh, can't quite do it.
He's definitely there. The 28 taking away that line every time he goes down there. So he's going to have to basically beat the 28 underneath if he can. Now he's going to try the high side again. That didn't work last time, and here comes the 22.
Going to get a run there and diamond it down for the backstretch. Oh, he might have something here. He's going to send it down low with the 28. Oh, they're close. The 28's washing up. Here comes Garrett Grant on the inside. They make contact. They're continuing the touch coming out of turn 4. Side by side down the front stretch. 2 laps to go from Nashville. Johnston trying to block Grant. Here comes the 22 of DeLeo. An intense battle for the finish here in the Elite Entertainment Cup Series, powered by Butt Kicker. 2 races to go for the playoffs. Garrett Grant needs a win to have a shot at making the playoffs. Gonna try the outside. Gonna come down to the white flags. They come off turn 4 one final time around Nashville, presented by One to Go Studios. Grant on the outside, Johnston on the inside, DeLeo watching from behind. Here comes Grant down low. He's gonna look to the outside.
They're both gonna take each other out.
Into the wall goes Grant. Johnston into the wall. Dominic DeLeo into the lead as they work their way down the backstretch for the final time. You knew contact was coming. You didn't know when, and it pays off in the end for Dominic DeLeo. Unreal. He's going to work his way through 3 and 4 for the final time. And the number 22 for Vizicus Motorsports, Dominic DeLeo, he's going to win with his first Cup win of the season. Dominic DeLeo wins at Nashville. My, oh my, what a finish. The top 3 coming to the white flag. We're all looking for their first Cup win of the season. And it in the end, it came down. Whew, oh my goodness, what a battle and what a finish we just had here at Nashville Super Speedway. Johnston still comes home with second, Cameron Hearn with third. So 22 is going to slide through the grass, and we'll get your podium drivers up here in just a moment. Wow, what a finish. Harold, this is looking a lot like last year where Dominic DeLeo is choosing to get hot at the right time. We'll take a look at your Elwood Design race recap really quick. Dom DeLeo is the winner. He led 33 of the 130 laps. One yellow, and that was early at lap 15. And James Scioli with the fastest lap of the race with a 30.265. And now, we'll bring him up here. The race winner, Dominic DeLeo, Hunter and Harold in the booth. Got a copy.
Hey, Hunter. Hey, Harold. How's it going?
Man, oh man, it has been a while since we've had you up here. And, you know, if plan A and plan B fail, stick with plan C. And plan C worked. You just let the two go at it in front of you, and it paid out in the end. Man, oh man, what a pit call you had. Take us through that pit call, and then take us through the finish.
Yeah, so thank you, first and foremost. On the pit call, I just told Alan and Mark that I was just going to do whatever the opposite everybody in front of me did. I knew that the tire wear fall off for the first 10 or 15 laps was just a lot. So I just wanted to be on a different strategy, and then it just worked out perfectly for us. I knew that we were pretty fast in the long run, saving the tires on the 65 lap one-stop strategy, so that worked out. Came in around, I think, lap 70 at a terrible pit stop. I mean, like, I should have came out in front of Johnston. But then I literally, like, verbatim, you said it, I said it the same exact thing to Mark. I tried to pass Nick Johnston for like 10 laps, couldn't do it, and I didn't want to like jeopardize the top 3 finish, so I told Mark, I'm like, I'm gonna back off and just let them burn their stuff off, and like I might just luck into a first place finish here. And it was the right call, and you know, I kind of was like worried that I was gonna get caught up in it, but didn't, and brought home P1, and couldn't be happier.
I mentioned this with Harold. It's looking a lot like last season in the ARCA series, where towards the end of the season, you're getting hot at the right time, and you're going to carry that into the postseason now with that win, locking you in. So you're going to go into Talladega scot-free, no stress whatsoever. Just get to run a solid race and then prepare for the playoffs. Harold, any questions for our race winner?
You know, Dom, like you said, you sat there and you had a windshield full of the Garrett Grant Nicholas Johnston thing. I mean, what are you doing when you set yourself up there? You don't want to be part of it. I'm sure you was that tense there. You saw one car go one way, and I mean, how do you make sure you don't get collected?
Yeah, I mean, it was tense there, definitely on the front stretch. I think like 2 or 3 laps to go, they were starting to do, you know, trying to duck under, and they, I think, got into each other a couple times. I was just trying to keep it, you know, 0.3, 0.4 seconds back, because I knew that, you know, it's just so hard to pass here, and they were both guarding the lines, and both of them, I think, are really just gunning for a playoff spot. So I knew they had more to gain. You know, Hunter, you talked on it. You know, Vizicus Motorsports, you know, we're having a pretty good season here to start. I think we're exceeding expectations. And, you know, it's just, I'm hitting the stride at the right time. I mean, the strategy call was it. You know, I didn't have anything for the 33, the 67, the 79, and the 91. You know, they were fast, and, you know, just a good strategy call. But, you know, any race that can happen. So just trying to, you know, maximize our chances to win. And that's what we did here tonight. So I was like screaming, man, primal screaming, like as I was on the line. But I just want to thank my wife first and foremost. I want to thank everybody watching, Pop Grandma. My mom, who they all watch every race, get pumped. I think they bought some merch. I got a Father's Day picture with my grandfather with his 22 shirt on. Mark Patterson, awesome job in the pit calls there, really working things through. Alan, I think he just quit, and we're gonna have a talking with him about getting those team points. But he's hitting his stride, and hopefully he gets in Talladega. I want to thank Magyar Bank, our sponsor, John Fitzgerald, everybody at Eat Sleep Race, Sharp Sharks. NAI DeLeo Bram, everybody for sponsoring the car, MAT Liveries, you guys in the booth, Hunter Harold, One to Go Studios, Jacob Bell, Eric Wineland, admins in the league. I think I got everybody, and now I'm going to go celebrate. Thank you guys. Oh man, this feels good.
Well, that part of that purse just went to that engine.
We got another one. We got a different car for Talladega, and we work pretty well actually in Talladega. I'm excited for that. Me and Alan. And Rafe Slate, who's kind of been honorary Physique's Motorsports member. We're working pretty well at Daytona. I'm looking forward to working with him again. All right. Thank you, guys. I'm going to go.
We'll let you go. We'll let you go celebrate that win. Congrats once again, Dom.
Thank you, Hunter. Thank you, Harold.
All right.
Right. That was your race winner there. And now we got to do the hard part and bring up second place. Nicholas Johnston, Hunter, and Harold in the booth. How's it going?
Pretty decent. How are you guys tonight?
Oh, man. Well, Harold, I don't know if you can pull it up. I think you led the most last year.
Yep, he did.
Looking at 61.
Yep.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah, we pulled that up while Dom was up here. So, yeah, he led the most laps of the race. Man, you knew where to put the car to make sure no one got around you easily. That's for sure.
Yeah, really when it came down to that last stint, me, Dom, and I didn't even know that the 5 was on the same strategy as us, but I would just kind of keep my eye on those guys, trying to preserve the right front, but I didn't do a very good job of it. And coming with about 15 to go, I was having to drive out the mirror more than I was the windshield, and held on as long as we could.
Yeah, you did, and you had the 22 to deal with, and then he kind of washed up the track. Then it came the 5, and then you got to go down the last lap coming into turn 1. Is there anything different that you wish you could have done to possibly see a different outcome?
I don't think so. I think if I drive in any deeper, I wash up and he goes by. I come up the track and he just dives down the inside and either gets by or door each other, and he gets by either way. So I think I just did all I could do. I don't think he quite expected me to hold the car down, because I kind of see him jot to the right like as we get on the brakes. So I think it's just kind of one of those unfortunate deals. Like he was going to try the outside, or at least try to over under me, and maybe misjudged it a little bit, but just kind of one of those deals.
Yeah, that was an exciting one to watch, but unfortunate that it had to come to a crash over there in turn 1. But nonetheless, you still came home with a second place finish, because when I saw the 5 go in the wall, I thought, oh man, they're both done. But yeah, you came home, still got a strong second place finish, solid team points finish there for Infinite Gaming. Are there any shout outs you would like to give out before you go?
Just want to thank all the guys over at Infinite for all their help and running with us. Get me in this league and out there running. It's a learning experience for me. I used to run cup cars a lot back in the day, and haven't ran this new Gen 6 very much at all. I'm still learning. Apparently, I need to learn better how to keep the right front on it, but I'm just glad the strategy worked out. It was kind of a risk pitting there on that one and only caution there on lap 15, but I figured with the fuel mileage, it was the thing to do. So happy with that. Thank all my friends out there for watching, and my girlfriend who's waiting on me. So I better get going.
Oh, we'll let you go, but if you keep coming up to the track with the speed that you had tonight, man, you're going to be a force to reckon with in the playoffs. So congrats on the second place finish, and have a good night.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Right, that was Nick Johnston, and now well, I don't think we have to dust off the seat anymore, because Cameron Hearn has brought that car back into the podium spot, sitting P3. Hunter and Harold in the booth got a copy.
I got you.
Man, well, as soon as we mentioned, we're going to have to move your seat over for Wysart because he got a little comfy. Now you're kicking him out.
Yeah, it was it was after the pit strategy, it was a crazy race in terms of what was going to work out. The late race caution would come out, what people were going to do. Kind of me and Wysart run own strategy, and I was racing him, and yeah, P3. I knew those guys battling. I was hoping all 3 of them would wreck. That would be perfect. But I had to figure there might be some action, and luckily I got the podium because of it.
I'll say it seemed like that was a possibility out there because they were all like bumper to bumper with each other, and contact was going to happen at some point. You didn't know when or where, but yeah, we kind of lost sight there the last 35 laps just because the battle for the lead was so intense. But still, solid third place run there. Harold, any questions for Cameron?
Oh, Cameron, I mean, it looked like he just kind of skated in at the end there to the third place position, and I thought for sure we were going to see, Nichols or somebody come up through, but
Yeah,
the strategy just got all walked out pretty by that early caution, and some people decided to come down, and we had different pit strategies throughout. I think we had guys on splitting it in half, splitting it thirds, splitting it in quarters. So we had all kinds of different lines going out there. So I mean, how was it? How did it look from the driver's seat about all those different strategies working out on the track?
that's part of racing. I've won some races by strategy, but I really felt like if it wasn't for that, we were on equal tires. I probably had a good chance of uh, at least battling for the win, contending for the win. Look at David. He was super fast early, and we were on the same strategy, and I was 12 seconds in front of him. So kind of felt like if we were on the equal tires, would have had a shot. I think when I pitted originally, I was like 15 seconds behind him before he pitted, and finished the race about 8 seconds off the pace. So that's part of it. Consistency is huge. Hadn't got a win this year, so kind of, having some points to cushion you going into Talladega, the last couple of races into the playoffs is huge. But I'd like to get a win, a couple more races to get there, I think. So I just like to get a W. Need something to go right for me one time.
Yeah, I feel like it might turn your way heading into the playoffs. As mentioned, got Talladega next week as the playoff cutoff race, and then we get into our 5-race playoff for the Elite Entertainment Cup Series. Any shout outs you'd like to give out before you go?
Yep. CNC Logging. Appreciate all those guys sponsoring us. Appreciate Elite Entertainment Gaming. We had a great we practiced a little bit. We were talking about tire wear and what kind of brake bias we're going to help save the right front, and those guys helped me out with that. Shane Wolf was pretty fast. I think he came home with a P10. Paul Everton was a little bit of different strategy than most. I think he came home a lap down, but he had speed too. So give a shout out to all those guys. Travis Beckner, spotting for all of us, telling us what's going on, and you guys for the broadcast. The admins, I think Eric Weiland's in the booth, Pierce Moffitt, and Jacob Bell, hell of a league. Looking forward to playoffs when it's go time. I think we're getting some momentum, staying out of trouble, keeping it clean. Top three, playoffs race is going to be huge, and that's what I want to do. And I just appreciate my dad watching, my wife watching. I don't know if my mom's watching, but she's there. Love you, my dad. Happy Father's Day. I had a fun time hanging out with you yesterday, and appreciate everything you guys do again. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Indeed, he'll be going at it in the trucks tomorrow night from the CNC Logging Truck Series. Have a good night, Cameron.
Oh, you too. Thanks.
All right, that was third place Cameron Hearn, and now we'll get the finishing results for the rest of the field. We just talked to our front three finishers over there, Dom Villio, Nick Johnston, Cameron Hearn. And as Hearn mentioned, him and Weishart were battling for third. Weishart came home with fourth. And how about this? Tyler Nichols, top 5, the higher finishing Nickel brother in the field. Scioli P6, Ryan Hart's P7, Jake Nichols P8, Jacob Bell P9. And as Cameron Hearn mentioned, James Shamewolf rounded out the top 10.
Yeah, Dwayne Culberson, Chris Seidenfeld, and Garrett Grant. It was a lap down. Ed Robertson and Gary Lewis through 15. 60 was Jordan Martin and Paul Irvin, Mark Patterson, Brad Slaughter, and Jay Perkins in the 20th spot.
I'm not sure why, but for me, I have Garrett Grant finishing 21st. I'm not sure if that's a scoring error or not, but we'll have to wait until after the race to get confirmation on those finishing. This is all unofficial. So on the screens, Adam Capps sitting 21st, Drew Trader 22nd, Garrett Heath 23rd, Forrest Smith 24th, Ryan Swan coming home 25th after the internet issues really derailed his race and a good chance at a solid finish. We got Daniel Miglin, Alan Balancino, and Brian Dixon rounding out the field. Harold, anything before we wrap it up? Because I mean, if this is gonna entail what the rest of the week might look like, then boy, oh boy, is it going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a different type of racing for us. We'll start as lap les back up here from Lottie'sTravelWorld.com. For the Mid-Atlantic City 180 was Nick Johnston, had 61, Dom 33, Weishart 24, and Hearn 8. I mean, definitely a interesting month of events, but it is a 1.33 track, but some short track kind of mentality there towards the end.
Yeah, indeed. Bumpers, smashing, crashing. Then we got a surprise winner. Oh, I shouldn't say surprise. I mean, DeLeo's been consistent, but I guess just the way that it happened was a surprise. Especially, I didn't see it happen in turn 1. Honestly, I saw it happen in turn 3. But man, that is what happens when you get a concrete surface and a 1.33 mile layout. I mean, that was just unbelievable. What a finish we had, and you can tune in to tomorrow night for the CNC Log and Truck Series. They'll be at this track at 8:40 Eastern on the Area iRacing Twitch channel, and Thursday night we'll have the Launchbox Series also at 8:40 Eastern on the Area iRacing Twitch channel, also from Nashville Super Speedway. And that's going to do it. From everyone that makes this possible, executive producer Harold Darner, I'm Hunter Sleppy saying so long, and we'll see you later.
What an exciting race brought to you by One to Go Studios. Here they come out of turn 4 to the white flag, and it's 1 to go. Thank you to all our sponsors, drivers, and viewers. We'll see you at the next turn.